Hey guys, we are back for the first dog check in a while. Once again, I am Matt, and joining me, as always, is the one and only Sean Iford.
Hey guys, yeah, we had a couple rough personal weeks
Yeah,
with regards to scheduling. I had a sewage pipe bust last weekend. We had a power outage the weekend before that. Both of us, my power was still out almost the whole game and
yeah.
until like midnight that night. So yeah, there was no way for us to do a show those 2 days. I had to make sure I had running water.
Yeah.
So. And obviously, with no electricity, there's no
No way,
webcam,
no
no internet,
webcam, no Wi-Fi,
yeah, and
none of that fun stuff. So
it wasn't happening. But we're happy to be back, guys, and we had an interesting game today. I gotta get it out of the way, man. Baker wasn't bad today.
besides a few of those erratic throws,
Yeah, there was a couple, but I believe that is kind of overanalyzing, though, because those throws happen to every quarterback. Almost every quarterback has those throws.
I wouldn't bring it up if it weren't for the fact it's been an issue the past two games also. The past two games, he had weather working against him, but
hardcore weather working. I mean,
well, not last week, but the week before, yes.
Before, I mean, for fuck's sake, we had wind that knocked out the power across most of Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
So if you got wind that's knocking out the power across most of Northeast Ohio, I'm sorry, throwing accuracy is going to be a problem.
Yeah. Well, last weekend it was just rain. You're like, oh, it could be the rain. But today there was that egregious miss with Higgins, and there was the miss that you could. I even told you that could go Kareem or his way.
You're not wrong, but I still look at the stat at the ending stat line. 19 for 29. That's over the number you want.
Yeah.
That's over that 60% threshold that you want. That 60 to 62, you know what I mean, in that area where you're considered, having a good accuracy. And he had a couple drops in there too.
Yeah. QB rating 116.
250 yards, 2 TDs, and most importantly, zero interceptions
for the third week in a row.
He did not cough it up.
Or excuse me. That was the fourth. This is the fourth week in a row.
And I'm sorry, if you're a quarterback, if you got a running attack like we have, over 200 yards again today on the ground. If you have a running attack like that and the quarterback does not cough up the ball, you're going to win a lot of football games.
Yeah.
You're going to go to the playoffs. You might win a game in the playoffs. If you can have 450 yards of total offense and no turnovers, which we did have a fumble, but that was somebody who is super sure-handed most of the time. That was an anomaly.
He just got stripped. They came up.
Yeah, he got punched out. So I wash my hands of that one. I don't even care about it, to be honest. Yeah. But yeah, if you can have 450 yards total offense, 2 touchdowns to the air, 1 on the ground, and no turnovers really, other than one fumble, you can even get away with 1 fumble with that. You can get away with 1 turnover with 450 yards.
Hey,
you're gonna win most of the time.
17-7. That's all I got to say for him. 17-7. 17 TDs, 7 interceptions.
That's a successful.
Yeah.
That's I got no problems with that.
It's the 66.3 QBR is a little iffy. The 89.7 rating is fine. It's completion percentage at 60.8 for the season. Probably going to jump a little bit after today's game. And I think today's game got him to 2,000 yards, if I remember correctly. So, hey.
Yeah, I mean, he's not ever, in this offense at least, he's never going to be a 4,000-yard quarterback in this offense.
Right.
Because it centers around the run, ball control, time management, all of that. Like, all of that. It's really an old school football team. And I'm here for it, dude. I like this style of football. I don't know about you.
No, I enjoy watching it without a doubt. So, hey, I don't really have any negatives to harp on today for the fact that we knew what we were going to get into this week with the defense. A lot of players out, a lot of big name players out with COVID and injury. You knew you were going in there against the Jacksonville team with not a lot going on your side defensively.
Yep.
So I don't want to harp on anything at the defense. For the most part, I just have positives outside of the horrible officiating. What the heck are you doing?
Popping the lid off my vape juice so that I can get what's left in there.
Got you. But yeah, that officiating, especially in the later half of the game, was garbage.
Yeah, it was not good. Especially that fucking that fucking roughing the passer penalty. Like, what the fuck was that? I'm sorry, it was an unnecessary roughness.
Unnecessary roughness. It's not like he threw him to the ground or anything. It was one of those quick hit plays.
So, like, I'm of the opinion, and I know that like this doesn't play particularly well, so y'all are gonna have to forgive this opinion. It's the old school football head in me. If you're gonna get an unnecessary roughness call, you may as well stomp a hand or something. I mean, I'm saying make it count, okay? That's all I'm saying is like at least make it make it count. To me, if there's no obvious intent, you can't blow the whistle. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you shouldn't blow the whistle if there's not obvious intent.
Exactly.
And I don't think there was obvious intent there. And that's what my whole point of saying, you know, it should be worth it. Meaning, you know, if you stomp a quarterback's hand or pick him up and slam him into the ground shoulder first.
Well, you know, Jacksonville players are able to just keep slamming Kareem Hunt's head to the ground after a run and not get called for anything.
That's already fucking torched him.
but you get what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, they paid for that though. That's all I'm saying is he made him pay for that.
It's just one of those. It's a double-edged. That was a double standard to say the least.
Oh, 100%. And I think there was some home field advantage going on there with the officiating. It's still super annoying. Don't get me wrong. I have to say that Mike Glennon was not nearly as terrible as I expected him to be.
No, but I think that's because you couldn't game plan for him because you haven't seen much of him.
In 3 years, he isn't.
I'm just talking about in this offense. You haven't really seen him in this offense. You didn't know what you were getting yourself into.
Yeah, that's true. Our rushing defense bothered me quite a bit.
Yeah.
James Robinson was an animal. 22 carries for 128 yards, a touchdown, 5.8 average. You cannot allow that. That's ridiculous.
So other than the Raiders game, this is the worst rush defense game we've had. Otherwise, they've kept them down under 100 every other game.
Yes, but those are the only 2 times where teams really tried to test our run defense too. That I can think of. Like the Steelers with James Conner did. They pounded it. I don't remember that. Okay, well I'll give you that then because I don't remember that well with regards to that. But
Conner 20 carries for 101 yards.
That's not as bad. But you know it is what it is. I'm not too upset about it.
Yeah.
It was, you know, it was fine. We still gave up, you know, 355 yards ish total.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of throwing that together. 375. So it is what it is. We won the battle both on the ground and through the air. That's what you want.
Jarvis finally had his signature game for the year.
Yeah. Jarvis was an animal. He I don't know how many targets he got, but he had 8 receptions for 140.
I could tell you that in one moment.
Yeah, the place where I'm using for my let's see here.
8 receptions on 11 targets.
That is not bad. And I don't think he had any drops either. I think those were actually missed throws by Baker.
I think one of them was a drop. I think
One of them was a drop. Okay. Okay.
Because it was one of those ones where he had it in his hand and the hit and dislodge it, but that counts as a drop. Yeah. But,
it is a drop.
It's a drop.
Those are the drops that you're okay with, though, because at least it was dislodged and he didn't just go, whoopsie.
Exactly. But
I got the fucking ball. Whoop. We had a couple of those today that kind of annoyed me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I make that sound effect when they drop the ball. Yeah.
Kadero Hodge, there was that 1 and I want to say 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 6 pass call where he did his best Pro Bowl receiver impression. Knee on the ground, caught it, ducked down out of bounds real quick. I was like,
yeah, that was beautiful.
But yeah, Nick Chubb was Nick Chubb.
I want to say something, okay? Mm-hmm. I feel like this needs to be said because this is a player we've been ragging on.
Oh God, I know this is going.
Sendejo was not terrible today.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't good.
Wasn't terrible
though. But he wasn't a walking embarrassment this time around. This was an improvement for him. Now, to be fair,
he did have a big play though.
He had a very big play. He didn't get. To be fair, in the opposite direction, the quarterback that he's playing against was fucking Mike Glennon.
Yes.
So like, it's what I mean. Mike Glennon's been what, a third string quarterback most of his career.
Second
or third. Yeah. So it's not like it's a highly skilled quarterback that's like, going to be very equipped to expose people. But credit where it's due. He wasn't terrible. I didn't see too many missed assignments from him. He didn't look like he was playing in quicksand today.
No.
I don't know if he skipped the Coke and Hookers last night or I'm making that up. That's totally.
It seemed like he
totally made up. I'm just saying that he's looked tired when the game started because it looks like throughout the whole season, it's looked like he's running in quicksand. Everybody blows past him. He just gets embarrassed on almost every route. But today, that didn't happen. So, yeah. I made a joke about Coke and Hookers. I'm not alleging that Sendejo is doing Coke and Hookers the night before games. That's not what I'm doing. I'm joking, guys. Just joking.
Yeah, but overall, like we said, we're not going to rag on the defense because we know what we were getting this week. We knew it wasn't going to be the best. You're missing your best 2 defensive players. Then Ronnie Harrison goes out early in the game.
Shoulder injury. I hope he's okay. I hope that he can return because he's been one of the bright spots.
Oh, and we're going to need him next week.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the first.
It seems like the magic might be wearing off in Baltimore a little bit.
Next week's not Baltimore.
Oh, no, it's not Baltimore. It's next week is Tennessee.
Who mollywopped the living hell out of the Colts today.
Well, I don't expect the safeties to be as big of a deal, although he's our strong safety, so that actually does matter.
Yes.
But I don't expect it to be like the biggest deal. Next week is going to be a linebackers game, a game where the linebackers need to show up and make plays in the backfield because it's going to be a run-heavy game plan.
Next week is going to be a Miles game. You're going to need Miles.
Hopefully he's back and healthy from COVID.
They said he will be back. They have said he will be back for next week. So,
well, he should be fresh and rested.
Yep.
So
they're saying there's a small chance Denzel's available. That's part of the reason they haven't put him on IR because it doesn't look as bad as it may have been. So they're trying to see how it healed up.
His injury, I missed the news on that.
It's like a calf strain.
Okay.
So,
well, if you're playing for the playoffs, a lot of players play through calf strains.
Right.
I mean, right. I'm not saying that he should. I'm not saying that he should risk his whole career playing through an injury that's going to make him favor his other leg and make him at risk for other injuries, things like that. But I am saying that when you are fighting for the playoffs like the Browns are, wow, I haven't been able to say that in a long fucking time. Hold on. The Browns are in a playoff spot if the season ended.
I think we're fifth right now.
Yeah, fifth or sixth.
Because
it was sixth when the game started.
It was sixth when the game started, but because we had the Titans versus the Colts, somebody is moving up into the division spot and into their division spot, and one person was going to go down in the standings.
Gotcha. So yeah, if the playoffs ended today, we'd be going to the playoffs.
And I think
if the season ended today, we'd be going to the playoffs.
I think the Raiders lost too. Let me
that
check
helps.
that. So, and but the Raiders are probably going to stay, but Miami won, so it could be. I think the standings right now are like the four division leaders.
Can we talk about how quick Miami's turned it around? They were the worst
Flores.
They were
hire
one of the
a black guy
last year.
Hire a black guy. That's all you got to do. Look, the Browns hired a black GM. With a if I remember correctly, a Harvard education.
Yeah.
Dude's built a pretty solid team. Granted, he's got a very solid mind. He and DePodesta knew who they wanted to get as coach and how they would mesh together. I'm sorry, but this is like the most quiet year out of Berea I've had in my entire life.
It's been Nobody's talking. Nobody's saying anything.
I remember last year.
And it hasn't been like the Eric Mangini years. I know you remember the Eric Mangini years. Everybody was tight-lipped as well. But everybody, there was like this attitude of like aggression coming out of Berea. It was weird. Like it was a real weird.
Hell, the Falcons beat the hell out of the Raiders, 43-6.
What? Oh yeah, the Falcons have been terrible. But geez, I'm actually very surprised that I'm very surprised that Matt Ryan didn't demand a trade. I'm actually very surprised.
I'm not, but
if they're going through a rebuild.
He probably realizes he's better off after the season's over.
Probably. It just, to me, I would want to move on to a team that's just missing a quarterback. Because he's getting older, man. Like I would want a shot at an actual playoff,
at another Browns uniform.
Man, he would look really good in a Browns uniform. And don't get me wrong, I'm not shitting on Baker after a good game.
I know you're
not going to do that. However, Matt Ryan would be a very clear upgrade. He would.
Yeah.
So would Matt Stafford.
I don't know. Ryan's a little bit
tanking.
More consistent. Yeah.
No, Matt Stafford just doesn't want to win this year. I think he's given up on the Lions. I think the Lions have given up on him, and he's given up on the Lions.
Well, I don't think the Lions have given up on him anymore. They fired the GM.
Well, yeah. But up until yesterday, that was when that news came down, right?
Yep. Yesterday.
Up until yesterday, it felt very, very much like that team had given up on winning. So, like, I just,
Saints up 17-0 at halftime. Not a single completed pass by Denver.
Jeez.
So it happens when all your QBs break COVID protocols.
Now we were just speaking about roster composition, and that made me think of something because you're the biggest Cavs guy I know, and I have to ask you this. I know that it's a departure from Browns talk. So I apologize.
Like we said, there's not. We don't have a lot to talk. The offense. It was a sluggish game. The only reason it looked like it was as close as it was the defense. And Baker made a few bad throws. Nick Chubb and Kareem showed up. The line looked good. I don't know what else we have to say.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. So kind of filling time here because we don't really want to put out a 20-minute episode. That's just ridiculous. We usually go an hour. I don't think we'll go an hour today.
Probably go like 30 or 45 minutes.
Yeah, but I got to ask you, man. There was a player that was signed to the Cavs that a couple of years ago I thought was going to be like a monster. All the news was coming out, from his team at the time that he was just insane, and he ended up kind of getting buried on the bench, and then I guess he got cut. Thon Maker.
Oh, you mean the human Gumby?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, man? I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. I'm very curious to see how he can develop.
I couldn't give two shits.
Wow. Why so aggressive?
Practicing ASL at the same time. But no, I couldn't give two shits. They pissed me off with the Jordan Bell trade. You traded Alfonso McKinney, who was your team's best defender last year, and Jordan Bell, who had the potential to replace the energy that you lost with Tristan, for a 2026 pick in JaVale McGee, who I had a buddy like, you don't think a 3-time champion is an upgrade over those two? One was a forward who can cover 4 positions from the point guard to the 4. The other was a forward who can cover from the 3 to the 5.
I think they seem to feel like they drafted that player over again.
See,
I
would agree if it weren't for the fact that he's a rookie. And remember,
you also need more than one of those guys, just by the way.
Exactly. And 2, wasn't Colin Sexton supposed to be that guy coming out of college? And look where he is now. He's just this offensive stud with no defense.
I don't think Colin's been that terrible on offense.
No, I said he's an offensive stud.
I mean on defense. I don't think he's been that terrible on defense.
Analytically,
I don't think he's been great. He hasn't been a world beater.
Analytically, he's one of the bottom 50 players in the league.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. So, but the difference is, I see Colin putting in the effort. He's just not great at guarding NBA defenders. He was great guarding high school defenders. He was great high school players. He was great guarding college players. I remember he was drafted for his defense partly.
Right.
And everybody's like, oh, his offense will come eventually. No, his offense came and his defense never came with it.
Right. So my thought on that would be maybe he was being asked to take on too much defensively because of the anemic defenders around him. Because overall, the Cavs have been putrid on defense. Putrid. That's the only word. Putrid on defense.
Yeah.
Outside of Tristan,
who's gone to the Celtics,
who's gone to the Celtics,
broke my heart.
I was sad about that. But outside of Tristan, name a decent defender that we've had since Colin showed up.
Alfonso McKinney.
Name another one.
Let's see. There is not one. Wait, no. George Hill. George Hill. We had George Hill and Colin for a little bit, and then they traded Hill.
Okay, but Hill was on the back 9. Hill wasn't actually a good defender by the time he got here.
No, he was still a good defender when he got here.
He was okay. He was okay, but he was long in the tooth. He didn't have the quickness to stay in front of people anymore, and he got hurt.
No, he didn't.
I thought George Hill got hurt.
He had like a sprained ankle at the beginning of that season. Played so well offensively, kept the spot. You also have to remember that Ty Lue was starting George Hill, who wasn't giving us any offense.
Yeah,
and that's partly why Ty Lue got fired, because like, no, we need the young guys to play.
Yeah, I don't think Ty Lue was like understanding his role in that he was a coach of a team that was going back to rebuilding again. And Ty Lue was still trying to coach a win now style, and that was not what we were going to be.
I agree, but I still would have liked to see that continue, because that helps instill a mindset in your players.
You know what helps more? Experience.
Well, Ty Lue was taking the I want you to earn it. You get experience because Colin was still playing, but you're getting experience and earning it.
My problem with that is that, yeah, you can earn some playing time in practice, but how much earning it can you really get if you don't see the court for extended minutes?
Oh, Colin was seeing the court for extended minutes. He wanted Colin to earn being a starter with the minutes he was getting.
I'm a fan of the vote of confidence style.
See, I am too.
If you draft somebody in the first round early in a lottery pick, you're drafting a starter. Let's just get that straight. Ideally, you're drafting a fucking starter. So throw him on the court, starting minutes, let him get his fucking feet wet, and spell him in big moments if you have to. But that's also scary because if you never make him play through any big moments, clutch moments, then he never develops that ability to handle the moment either. Although Colin hasn't shown that problem. So it is what it is. I didn't like how I personally did not like how Ty Lue was handling the youngins and the rookies. I didn't like it that much, if I'm honest. I
get it. I get it.
Because when you're drafted, what was Collins, 6th overall?
8th.
When you're drafted 8th overall, you go in there expecting to be the starter right away. You just do. And some players benefit from being taken down a peg and being forced to earn the minutes, earn the starting role. But for other players, that actually chips away at their confidence when they don't land where they're expecting to get, right off the bat. And when you chip away at a player's confidence who is supposed to be like this great defender, I think that actually hurts them because, defending is all confidence and energy and aggressiveness. And when you start to chip away at a player's, confidence, you can really hurt their defense. You can hurt their offense too, but shooter's going to shoot. So that's, that's not really going to be that much of a problem. I don't know. I think it messed with Colin's mind early on.
No, because Colin has been very. I'm here. I have no issue admitting when it comes to our 2-point guards, I prefer Colin Sexton. I do not care for Darius Garland in the slightest.
I think Darius Garland has a lower floor but a higher ceiling.
Yes, and my fear is that Garland will never reach that ceiling. When I see Garland, I see Reggie Jackson in his prime.
When I see Garland, I can't think of his freaking name.
Who did he play for?
He played for Charlotte for a long time. He
DJ Augustin.
No, that's not who I'm thinking of. More recent.
Kemba?
Kemba Walker. Yeah, I see potentially Kemba Walker when I look at him. Undersized, quick twitch. He has the shooting stroke.
He's not undersized because he's 6'2".
He's 6'2", but you're asking to play shooting guard most likely.
No,
right?
they play Colin at shooting guard.
Which is weird to me too.
They play Garland at the point.
Okay. Well,
and that's why I'm like,
They seem kind of interchangeable to me because neither one of them is a ball distributor.
Garland is actually the more natural ball distributor, but towards the end of the COVID shortened season, I went to a couple games and I watched a few games. And I was courtside for the March 4th game against the Celtics.
Okay.
And I got to see Colin up close in person. He made the correct passes. He passed to the open man. They'd either miss it because that's the Cavs or they'd hit it. His numbers over February to March, if I remember reading correctly, were over 5 assists per game. He was starting to develop that point guard mindset.
Okay.
While still giving you that 25 to 40 points a night he had started giving you.
Well, I'm excited to see what Colin can become. I'm also curious to see what Garland can become.
To me, Colin can be the next Kyle Lowry if his defense ever gets to where it was supposed to be when he came into the league.
Well, Kyle Lowry is a great piece.
Kyle Lowry's a champion.
Kyle Lowry is a champion.
He's a leader.
He is a leader. And he's a great building block. That's what I meant by a great piece.
Yeah, I know. But that's my point. Like I see that kind of potential with him.
Yeah. But I mean, think about it like this. If you end up with a Kemba Walker and a Kyle Lowry, that's a great situation. And I think Garland can be Kemba. I do. I see it.
I hope you're right. But I don't see it for now.
But I think both of them are too small to guard NBA shooting guards.
Yep.
That's the problem. That's the problem I have is the defense. It gives us a very bad defensive backcourt. And I would prefer to see us I would actually prefer to see us move Garland for a more true shooting guard.
Yeah, well, they have their true shooting guard. That's Kevin Porter Jr. if he can get his shit together.
Yeah, didn't he just get arrested?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then accused of punching a woman in the face.
Yeah.
So
yeah. If you can't keep your nose clean, you can't be an NBA shooting guard.
Yeah, but a lot of people are like, start Garland, have some Sexton be that Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford. And
no, I disagree. I think you either play them both or you move one of them. Period.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think you move whichever one you can get a bigger haul for.
And a lot of people think that's Garland.
You might get a bigger haul for Garland. Then if that's the truth, then move him. Because I don't think you have a future of becoming a championship caliber team with that size and that backcourt.
And I know people are like, well, they're just trying to copy the Trailblazers. The difference is Dame and CJ actually can play defense.
Dame and CJ have some size too. Doesn't CJ McCollum have some size?
6'3".
Huh? 6'3"?
Yeah, there's only like an inch difference.
Yeah, but there's a body type difference though.
CJ's got a similar body type to Colin.
To Colin, yes. But they're both stockier than Garland.
Yeah.
They're both bigger defenders. Like they may not be taller, but they got the muscular structural system to like actually, you know, be kind of aggressive, like, you know, defensively, to get in front of people and stay in front of people and force people to go around them and not kind of just through them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm cool with 6'2", and if you're giving away buckets to somebody shooting over the top of you because you're just an inch too short, that's fine. But if you're basically getting bullied off the ball because you're not only are you 6'2", but you're also 180 pounds or 170 pounds, and you're not muscular, you're just small, like you're just skinny. I'm not saying they have to be walking around like, you know, like shaped like LeBron.
Right.
But you do need a little muscle mass on you to actually play defense in the NBA at a high level.
No, I agree.
So
just one of those things.
Anyways, back to the Browns.
Yeah, I honestly think that's it. There's
nothing else. I mean, great game from Jarvis. Great game from Nick Chubb.
Good game from Baker. Good game from Kareem.
Yeah, Nick Chubb quietly had. I mean, he didn't quietly have it on the ground, but he had 173 all-purpose yards.
Yeah,
170.
So basically,
176 all-purpose yards. So that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous because he was averaging 10 yards per catch today.
Yeah, something I do want to mention that I liked. Dearness Johnson on kickoff returns.
Yeah. How did we skip that?
I don't know. But Dearness Johnson.
Yeah.
Dearness Johnson on those kickoff returns was the man.
also want to talk about the pancake at the end of the game. Just
Joel Buctonio laying the dude out.
He mauled him. Like, he didn't just knock him off the ball. He mauled him into the ground.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was carnage. So, like, being the old school football guy, I love to see those impact blocks. Like the block where, that makes me happy. To see a dude just on the offensive line just crush somebody. Yeah. That makes me giddy. Like, that makes me happy. I mean,
You want to know what have made me giddy?
What's that?
The refs properly placing a fucking ball.
Yeah, that was annoying. That was super, super annoying.
Yeah, but I think that's it. Not much to chew on here. Like we said, we knew what we were getting into with the defense.
Yeah.
Your two best defense players arguably lost your third in the beginning of the game.
Yeah. And he still only gave up 25 points. Granted, to a bad offense.
That's why I'm afraid for next week, my friend. That's why I'm afraid for next week.
Yeah, next week we face a pretty good offense. Granted, it's a ground attack mostly.
It's the most similar offense to us we will have seen so far.
Yeah, and it's still not quite what our offense is because it's one guy. It's not a second guy coming in with fresh legs and punishing you for getting tired from the first guy. That's a different kind of demoralizing right there. I mean, you have Nick Chubb rip off a 30-yard run,
and then
he goes off and gets Then Nick Chubb goes off to the sidelines and gets some oxygen, and Kareem Hunt comes in and punches in 27 yards right behind him. It's just ridiculous. Like, it's backbreaking. It's just like, damn it! Now, and then Chubb comes back in, and you're like, fuck! Like, it's like these dudes are staying fresh. Like, I mean, the Browns offense at the end of the game looked like they could have played another 3 quarters without being exhausted. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, and because the running game was so good, it actually seems like it kept our offensive linemen a lot fresher too, because they didn't seem like it seemed like the defensive linemen for the Jaguars were getting tired at a significantly faster rate than our offensive linemen. I don't know if that goes to conditioning or game planning. I know run blocking takes less out of you than pass blocking does, though.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, so yeah, it was really fun to watch that offense run. I was always excited when the Browns held the ball because I love the run game. That's what makes me happiest. Yeah, now don't get me wrong, I love the big, 80-yard bombs just like everybody else, but I love watching the psychology of the defense just kind of deteriorate as they just get hit in the mouth over and over and over again. And every time the camera pans and you can see the defensive players when they're playing the Browns, they just look so damn defeated. Like, they just look exhausted.
They're gassed.
They're more than tired.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they just look gassed completely, mentally, physically.
Yeah. They look like they're dreading going back onto the field when they're on the sidelines. And that is something that, honestly, I don't see other teams doing to people. Like, I don't see that sense of dread. You know what I mean? That dread face. I don't see it.
Fair enough.
So, that excites me, and I'm looking forward to next week. I mean, I definitely don't count it as a W, but it's definitely a winnable game. You can beat the Titans if you're the Browns.
Yeah.
You definitely can win that game. I actually don't think there's a game you can't win left on the schedule.
Yeah, especially with how the Ravens have been playing. You don't know what the Steelers are going to be doing.
Yeah, they may be resting people because they're undefeated still.
But at the same time, will they? Because of the fact that, let's be honest, the Chiefs have only lost one game.
Yeah.
Do you risk, if the Chiefs went up to week 16 and are 14-1, do you risk sitting your players on week 16 and losing that first round bye?
No, you don't, actually, because you want that extra week off.
Exactly.
That week for everybody is better than resting a couple of your starters. It's better.
Exactly.
So you typically risk it.
Risk it for the biscuit.
Exactly. And I mean, I know I've been parroting this over and over again, and it hasn't happened yet, but I still don't trust Ben Roethlisberger to finish the season.
You got damn close the last couple games.
Yeah. So I don't trust Ben Roethlisberger to finish the season. He always seems to get hurt. He's always dinged up at the end of the season. From what I understand, he is kind of dinged up now, but he's playing. He's had a couple of encounters, as it were, where he was close to genuine injury.
Yeah.
And I think you only have so many of those hits in you when you're in your late 30s.
Yeah.
So I honestly still don't trust Ben Roethlisberger to be available in week 17. I'm not saying he won't, but I'm certainly not counting it as a guarantee. I mean, you never guarantee players are going to be available in week 17.
Yeah.
But for Ben, it seems like there's a higher likelihood than most players.
Yeah.
Because of his age and his history. And frankly, he doesn't have a history of taking care of his body and being in the kind of shape that you need to be in to endure a full season. I mean, he always comes to camp out of shape,
Yeah.
He's,
Well, the other thing you got to look at is the other factor in all this, and that's COVID.
Yep.
Because COVID may play a big factor into the Browns getting into the playoffs. Lamar Jackson is out. He's going to be out this Tuesday, and he's probably going to miss the week after. There's a chance the Ravens drop 2 games in their schedule.
Well, he hasn't played that well anyways the last several weeks.
But that's partly because the line. They lost that starting left tackle. Their line hasn't been the same since.
Nope.
Their defense has gone down, has lost a few players, so they're not defending the same way they were.
Nope. They have degraded in quality in every single way possible. So
yeah. So could that Baltimore game end up meaning a lot less than we expect it to as we go into that week? Because you already have a game on them. If they lose Tuesday, that's 2 you got on them.
Yep.
After that,
it's good to be 8-3, man.
it's good to be 8-3. I mean, let's see, who do they have after that? That's the real question.
Who do we have after that? Or
who do the Ravens have after the Steelers?
The Ravens have
the Cowboys, who have been putting up fights lately.
Yeah, but they're still going to win that game. Let's just be honest about it.
Not if Lamar's not back. That's my thing. If Lamar's not back, that becomes a 50-50 toss-up game.
So I have to say that I have a lower opinion of the Cowboys than you do, I think. I don't think the Cowboys are any good at all without Dak Prescott. And I think the Ravens are still an average team without Lamar.
I think
it ends up being an average team versus a pretty bad team.
If it weren't for the fact that I've seen Andy Dalton make the same kind of throws I saw him make all those years in Cincinnati, I'd feel a little bit different. But if I had to choose between Andy Dalton and Robert Griffin III,
oh, give me Andy Dalton all day.
And that's what I think the difference is going to be.
Okay, I can accept that. And
Andy Dalton's played again. He's at least familiar with who he's playing. That is a game that is currently built to be the biggest toss-up potential upset game because of where we are right now in the world. With Lamar possibly being out. With Andy Dalton coming from the AFC North. And all the decimated with injuries, not injuries, with COVID outside of Lamar. Like there's so many factors there that it's like that's a winnable game for them. I wouldn't have said it a week or two ago, but that is a winnable game.
Yeah.
And then they have us.
Now, did you see that the Ravens have generated even more positive exposures just 2 hours ago?
No, I didn't. But the NFL has said they're not canceling the game.
Yeah, no, they would have to forfeit the game.
Mm-hmm. They didn't. If the Broncos aren't gonna forfeit, they're not letting the Ravens forfeit.
So, if they generate more tests before the game, they would have to.
I get that,
because that would mean that more players were exposed to the other players again. So now you have potential carriers on the field at a much higher chance than you have to have everybody. The test before the Tuesday game has to come back clean in order for them to play that game.
Yeah.
If players test positive on Tuesday, they have to they can't play that game.
Yeah.
Because it'll be before the possible and I know I'm not a doctor, but from what I understand, the way it's been explained to me and from the stuff that I've been reading, if the Ravens have players test positive on Tuesday, then that will mean that they will have had players exposed to those players.
Yeah,
they could pass. They could test negative and still be carriers. So in that situation, when you have players that have come in contact with players that just tested positive that same day, you can't play that game.
Yeah. But then it played, and they wouldn't forfeit. It would just be canceled straight up, and that's the thing.
I'm reading here on PFT on NBC Sports that's what it would be. It would be a forfeit.
Okay, then maybe it changed.
Yeah, I mean.
But
here's the link right here. I'm going to drop it in our chat here. I'm for profootballtalk.nbcsports.com.
Yeah,
that essentially that would be a forfeit. It says it's believed that the league will declare these positives to be part of the tail end of the past exposure, and that the game will be played on Tuesday night unless the Ravens generate positive tests on Tuesday and the results are available before kickoff, or the Ravens inform the league they aren't playing and they will take the first forfeit of the 101 season in the 101 season history of the NFL. So, they have to play or forfeit. It won't be a canceled game.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from NBC. So
hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But with that in mind, this was a abbreviated episode of the Dog Check because, well, we knew what we were getting into today. So
yeah, this game turned out exactly as expected, and there was just very little to discuss. So we're gonna go ahead and end it up here, guys. And it was a fun game, though.
Yeah, it was a fun game besides shitty officiating. But signing off.
Besides that, signing off.
I'm Matt.
I'm Sean.
And this was another Dog Check.